This is Senior Memories, featuring stories about your history, your community, your family. Join us as we remember.
In 1942, when I was 10 years old, my father would travel job to job, and he would always, if he saw an airplane or airport, he would stop and say, "Pat, it's your turn to watch the planes." And we'd sit there till I had my fill, and then he would go on. From the time I was in the 2nd grade to the 8th grade, I was on the road going to school in probably 28 different states. It was wonderful. And then when I was in the 8th grade until the time I graduated high school, my father thought it was time for me to be in one school, which we always had a home in Ohio. And so I graduated from Kilbuck, Ohio. That's when I got the bug to do something different. And I always loved flying, and I saw an ad in a paper that said an airline school. So I thought, well, that's airplanes. It was in New York City. And that wasn't enough. I liked the learning how to go, and when we worked with airplanes, but that wasn't enough. So I came back to Ohio, and I got married, and unfortunately, it was someone who wouldn't let me learn to fly because he was afraid he'd lose me. So he passed away in 1961 when I was 30 years old, so I went to the airport. And every morning at 7 o'clock, I was out at the airport taking a lesson. I got my license, my private, in 2 months. And then I started working. That's really all I wanted was my private, but it wasn't enough. So I got my instrument rating and my commercial rating, and then started doing air races, which I did 17 of from coast to coast, and also from Canada down to and also to the islands. Connie had a little airport, and we always would take whatever was available. We took Cherokees, even took a Bonanza and Cessnas, and flew all our races. And we were always flying against all the California girls who always could go out and get the best handicap, but we took whatever we could get. I would go around and I would get someone to back us, give us money for the fuel, and different things like that. And fuel was inexpensive then. Now it's out of the realm for airplanes. So that's why the races have kind of come to an end. There is still a race. It's called the Classic Race, but it winds around the United States because there's so many places that an airplane, a private airplane, cannot fly anymore. The government has them restricted, and you can't go near airports that we used to land in. So it's a whole different world out there when you air race. In 1969, we flew an air race with my friend Connie, pregnant, 7 months pregnant. She was 42 years old for her first child. We both wore maternity clothes, matching maternity clothes, of course. And it was a wonderful race. We had no problem. Every time we'd get up to a certain altitude, I'd give her oxygen so that that's what the doctor had told us to do. So we got along just fine, and she had a wonderful little girl, which I call her half my daughter too. We always kid her that she has 2 mothers. And it was an outstanding race. And then we've had many races. We've never had accidents on our race. We're very fortunate. We've had races around us that there were accidents, but our race has been really nice. And we've had some well-known people flying them. We had Senator Hart's wife flew from Michigan, and many people they were the secretary of famous people. And we had Charles Schultz, Snoopy, did us in the newspaper all the way on one race. So he gave us all Snoopy dolls and bags to carry, and he was just wonderful. It goes back, see, that year I forget what it was, but it was he did the whole cartoon. And he, incidentally, when his wife passed away, he was single when he did the race, and he met his future wife. She was a pilot.
Senior Memories. Remembering the times of our lives.